Good morning, Mike with the Elevator Consultants here on the site at a high rise in the Midwest. We're on site here to do an audit of 4 elevators, technically 5. There's a garbage lift that we're going to take a look at as well, which if you guys haven't seen that before, it actually comes up through the sidewalk. So obviously we're in the first machine room here, or probably the only machine room. The garbage lift likely does not have one, but we'll take a look when we get down there. But really, we've got 4 elevators up here. Here's our mainline disconnects for it. But really our purpose for being on site here is really to give an overall picture of what the overall health is of each elevator. That's going to be based on age, usage, condition, any obsolescence issues, and so forth. So we're certainly going to take a look at that. We're going to look at everything from a performance perspective as well. So these are going to be all things that are not necessarily required by elevator code, but performance wise, how is the ride quality, that kind of stuff. So that's really the purpose, or one of the main purposes of us being on site. It sounds like the building has already been through this process once and has decided to change gears on this potentially. So we're going to see what we can do to help and give them our opinion and what we're seeing in the marketplace right now, based on all those factors. The other thing that we are going to take a look at, oh boy, these cables are on fire. You guys can see all the rouge on them. Oh, those are bright. Those are done. So based on elevator code here, anytime you have rouge, that's advanced wear of the cables. Cables are due for replacement. So I haven't had a chance to look at this, but you can see all the tallow built up here. That's really on the rope lubricator. You can see all the tallow being thrown on the floor here. But anyway, as I was saying, so we're going to take a look at everything based on the maintenance agreement as well. So everything we're seeing on site here, anything that's owed to the building in the maintenance agreement, that's going to be brought up in our report. And obviously we're going to have a punch list. We already have a set of cables that are bad. This one doesn't look as bad, but I certainly want to see this elevator run. But that's really the purpose of why we're here. But let's kind of take a walk through and see what we have. These should be motion control MCE, probably IMCs. We got a tag up here on the right side, that's what it says. So it looks like these were put in 2000, 2001, give or take. System 12 drives. Up here is going to be our resistor cabinet. Just kind of going through everything, a quick visual. Kind of neat with these controllers. We have a display here in the center that'll tell us what floor the elevator is at. It's car 2. We have our code data plate. The little things like these plastic covers right here that cover up all the wires. As we're going through and doing any kind of troubleshooting, getting everything tidied back up. So obviously car 2 has that on, but coming back over here to car 1, you can see that's out. Wires are kind of everywhere. We like to see everything neat and tidy. We have our group controller here. Take a walk down here to car 3 and we'll see what we got. Also looking for anything unusual, maybe a jumper wire, a safety circuit jumped out. We don't We don't know any of this. We have not had eyes on it. So really it's for everybody's safety, including mine, because we are going to take a peek inside the hoistway. Car 4, this must be our service car. So the cabinet is much taller. This is our car 4. Okay. Machine-wise, these are gearless traction machines. So these are kind of neat because really everything on these machines are open. You can see everything. Let's come down here. It's a little bit better lighting down here. So we'll start over here on the right side of the machine. We'll work our way over. Up here you got a tachometer. That's going to be this this component here. That wheel is going to spin along really our brake drum here, and that's going to count the revolutions per minute and tell the controller how fast the machine is running. Brake wise, obviously I just said drum. We've got a drum brake, so we've got these really gigantic brake shoes here. Obviously they're going to get spread apart, and then they'll collapse onto the drum when it's time to actually lock the machine in place, prevent the elevator from moving. Traction cables, I imagine these are V-groove. We're going to have to take a closer look at that, but really that's how the cables sit in the grooves. So the only reason I mention that, it's kind of hard to tell on camera, but you could see these cables are sitting up a little bit higher in the grooves here. If we swing back over to the first card, you can see these are sitting a little bit deeper in the grooves here. So I'm going to see if I can get a better image down here below. We have a chance to see this elevator run. And these look like they are V-groove. So really, rule of thumb for any of these shivs, if the cables are crowning above, generally the shiv is going to be in okay condition. If they're sitting down below, which you should really measure them off, and it's going to be difficult to get to that. I'm just watching these go through, see if I see any bad spots on them. And this is moving in the down direction. Well, as long as I'm talking about cables. So generally, when cables go bad, they're going to go bad. They're going to show up here in the machine room when the elevator's at the lowest landing. So car 2, we're at the lobby. So I do want to see another full run on those just to make sure that nothing is missed. Obviously we got a machine tag here. Anyway, so recap. So we got tachometer. You can see that wheel spinning up here. Spinning on the brake drum. We got our brake shoes. Our shiv with our traction cables sitting in V grooves, and the drive shiv. Then we can see these bolts that are in the frame. Let's step around here. That's what's actually holding in our field pieces, which are going to be these big metal blocks. And really what these are, they're coils. So we can see this machine is absolutely filthy. But the whole rotating component inside here, that's going to be your armature. Down here, this copper plate, which is attached to the armature, this is considered your commutator. And then you see these individual components here on the sides. These are your brushes, most likely a carbon material. You can see we got some kind of scoring on the commutator here. So this is not in great shape, but this machine is absolutely filthy. It needs to be blown out. But really, for major components, that's what we tend to see on gearless traction machines, and these are kind of nice because everything is open, you can see them. The newer style machines that you see now that are coming out from manufacturers, you typically don't see this. The other part we're looking at here is all the insulation here, which I don't know if you could see it on camera, but you can see the insulation is just starting to crack and separate. And if all that was gone, you would see the coils that are inside here. Actually, in that almost baseball card sound that you hear, and you can kind of see it going past. I'm just going to stop here at the bottom. That's going to be a really damaged part of the commutator. It's not the worst that we've seen, but it's certainly not great. But overall, these machines, they do need some love. If you guys can see that flash that goes past, that's the bad spot on the commutator. So we don't know if that's a burn spot. Hopefully we'll get a better look at it here in a second. Might be in the back side here. It's probably parked underneath the brush, but anyhow, you get the idea. This one obviously is covered in rouge, which is really all that rust color that you see. So depending on where your building is at, that's going to dictate whether or not those are required to be replaced by code, or if you actually have to size them up. Based on where we're at right now, if they have rouge, based on elevator code, cables are done, they need to be replaced. We can see our insulation is starting to crack here on this field piece. This machine is absolutely filthy as well, and this commutator is not in great condition either. But this is a little bit cleaner. You can start to see a little bit of the color on the armature, but you're going to see those long parallel lines inside here. That's car 1, car 2. Let's take a look at car 3 and see what we got. So anytime you see those lines, generally that means the cables are brand new or next to new. Looks like these were recently replaced. Looking for anything out of the ordinary on this. This machine is much cleaner than the other ones. Still not great, but it's cleaner. Commutator looks like it's in better condition. We're not really seeing any of the score marks or anything that we're seeing on the other ones. Field pieces. At least the ones that we could see in the areas that we can see. We're not seeing any of that insulation crack. You can hear how much quieter this machine runs. So that one's definitely had some work done to it. And we'll go check car 4 here, our service car. So this one's going to be a little bit more difficult to look at because we do have a cable guard here, which is going to be this metal component, which is not secured down. But we can see the color that's on the ground. That's not a good sign. We can see the rouge on the field piece is not a good sign. I highly doubt these cables have been replaced. I'm just taking a look at the field pieces here. The commutator, I do want to see this car run, obviously. See if we can get around the backside to take a peek at it. Hey, here we go. So obviously smaller cables on this, 1/2 inch. We got a good look at everything here. I suspect we're going to see a spot like we had seen on car number 1 with all the rouge when it goes past, but we're going to wait for this car to run. Another part I'm just noticing now, everything over the other 3 cars, the first 3 cars are roped 1 to 1. This one, it's kind of difficult to explain. The car number 4, this one here, we got these boxes up here in the machine room. You can see it over here in the corner. We call those dead end hitches, and we call this roping 2-to-1. So really the cables are gonna, let's see if I can explain this right. If I'm looking at it right. So looking at the cables here, let's see if we can tip one of these up. Oh, this one might be loose. There we go. So we can see this is where the cables end at. That's our dead end hitch. So those are going to drop down into the hoistway. This is likely counterweight side. So cables are going to go down to a sheave that's located on top of the counterweight. It's going to come back up, go on, really come up and over the top of the machine, come down to a sheave that's on top of the elevator cab, and come back up, and it's going to tie back into here. So that's considered 2-to-1 cabling, 2-to-1 roping, however you want to say it. So the service elevator has it. We take a look back here at the passenger cars. Obviously we don't have it here. Governors, prevents overspeed of the elevators. Everything's got Hollister Whitney. These were likely installed during the modernization. So really we got some major work to do up here. So we got a set of cables. Obviously we're going to dig a little bit deeper into this after I hop off because I got to write down some paperwork, but we got cables. We've got some field pieces that need to be re-insulated. Commutator, I know we got a bad spot on car number 2. I still haven't gone through really the controllers, any of the testing documentation, anything like that. So quite a bit to take a look at here. Here's our trap door. If you look above here, there's probably anchor points, which there is and slash was. So if they're looking to get major components in and out of the machine room, this will drop down likely in a stairwell, next to the stairwell, get to the next landing. They can take components out, get large components out of the building, which is a major factor when trying to decide what we're doing for a modernization. If anything gets replaced, heaven forbid a machine fails and we got to replace one of these, how on earth do we get these things out? So obviously we got our door frame here, which limits us, but obviously that trap door gives us better options. But I'm not suggesting or insinuating that the machines need to be replaced, but just hypothetical. Those are some of the things that you need to consider when performing an elevator mod, is if you're going to get rid of something, how do you get it out of the building? All of our transformers for the controllers and the machines are located all the way over here. Old school monitor, you never see these anymore. But overall, just looking for anything else that stands out to me. Lighting up here isn't too bad. Obviously, when it comes time to modernize these elevators again, because these have been modernized in 2001, we're going to get better lighting up here. So you can kind of take a look down here, see how shadows are being cast. I mean, it's still pretty bright in here, but obviously we're going to get better lighting to prevent that. But anyhow, that's really the major parts here. I'm going to see if I can grab a card top for us here in a little bit. We'll take a look at that, kind of walk through and see what they did at the time of modernization. We'll see if maybe they've done any upgrades. And then obviously I've got some performance stuff to go through and a whole lot of details to go through. But as far as major stuff, I thought you guys might find this interesting, what we're looking at, why we're here. So obviously all this information is going to be delivered to our customer, and we'll go from there. So we'll talk to you guys soon.